Hello guys and welcome back to Championship predictions for a midweek special. We are busy on the channel today. We had Champions League predictions last night. We've got League One predictions later today with Benjamin Bloom. And yes, you might have noticed that Sophie is not currently with me. She is away for the day, but she has still sent me a video with her predictions. So don't worry, you've still got both of our predictions. We're going to switch between the two of us as we go through the games. The lengths we go to bring you our predictions, hey? Make sure to show us some support, guys. Let's go for 2,000 likes. Take 2 seconds to hit the like button. Make sure, of course, to subscribe if you haven't already. Get involved and help us push to 80,000 subscribers. Once again, a massive thank you for your support so far. The scores in the predictions last time, Sophie did just beat me 6-5, but I've still got a 12-point lead. Let's get straight into the predictions then, and I'm going to let Sophie go first for Cardiff City versus Portsmouth.
Hi guys, so we've got two teams coming into this game on the back of wins, and very big wins. I mean, Cardiff won 5-0 against Plymouth and I did not see that happening. And Portsmouth to get the win at QPR was a great result. It now takes them off bottom of the table. So going into this one, I think both teams will be on a high, but I'm actually going to go down the middle. Beforehand, Portsmouth were quite draw heavy, and I'm going back to the drawing board on this one, and I'm going to go down the middle and say 1-1.
So then, as for my thoughts on Cardiff City versus Portsmouth, I'm going to echo what Sophie said. They both got great wins at the weekend. Fair play to Cardiff City, a thumping win, a statement win against Plymouth Argyle. Yes, they were playing 10 men towards the end, but they were already on course for victory before that red card. They were 2-0 up, and like I say, it's a statement that they are going to come out of the bottom three and they're going to try and pull teams in. And this is a big relegation 6-pointer at this stage of the season. Credit to Portsmouth as well. What a good win away at QPR. I'm going to be boring here. I don't want to back either of these teams to lose after great wins at the weekend, so I'm going to copy Sophie actually and go for a 1-1 draw. I am slightly leaning more towards Cardiff, I suppose, given the margin of victory in the last game and the fact that they've got the home advantage. But Portsmouth, they are good for a draw. They've just won their last away game. I reckon they could get out of here with something. So I'm going to go 1-1. Next up, let's see what Sophie has to say for Leeds versus Watford.
For Leeds versus Watford, I'm leaning towards the home side on this one. They obviously got a great win against Sheffield United, which was a bit of a statement. So if they can build on that now, they're looking very, very good. And I think they're going to, because Watford didn't put in a very good performance in their Derby Day fixture, which I was a little bit underwhelmed by them actually, so I'm not going to give them anything in this one either. I think it could be a fairly straightforward Leeds 2-0 win again.
So then, Sophie's saying 2-0 to Leeds. I think I'm going to go in with a 3-0 Leeds win. I think that performance and result against Sheffield United could be a real turning point in Leeds' season. They have been alright so far this season, but is that the game where they now start to climb the gears and maybe ride off into the sunset? I mean, they are still currently just outside the top two, but I think a game like this against Watford, who are going to be in low confidence, really does suit Leeds at home as well, of course. Like I say, I think they could win this comfortably. And like I said, during the international break, Leeds and Burnley, they really need to put the pressure on Sunderland, because they were the teams I suppose we expected to be up there at the start of the season. And like I say, Watford have been decent at times this season, but that performance against Luton has given me a few concerns. It could be another 3-0.
So for this one, Oxford versus Derby, I'm finding it quite difficult to predict actually. I was tempted to say the home side because I do fancy Oxford at home. Similarly, I fancy Derby more at home as well. So being the away side, do I think they could get anything from this game? Yes, they have impressed me so far this season. And again, I'm going down the middle. I'm going to say 1-1, just because both these two newly promoted sides, so far, the way they're playing, I like it. It's very attacking and it's very entertaining. So I'm going down the middle again, 1-1. But I wouldn't be that surprised if Oxford were to nick this one either.
This game feels like a big one, doesn't it? Oxford United versus Derby County. Two teams that have had similar journeys, I suppose. They both came up from League One. They're both similarly placed in the Championship table, and to be honest, the expectations from neutrals and pundits was that these two might go down, and I suppose I was guilty of that, so I'll put my hands up and say they've both been great so far this season. But how do I see this one playing out? I think I'm going to agree with Sophie here that Whoever's at home in this fixture, I am leaning towards, but Derby County did get their first away point of the season, and Oxford United, it was a good draw against West Brom, but it's still, I think, 5 without a win now, so I think they might cancel each other out, and I'm going to go 1-1. Share your thoughts on this one. I know that I'm copying Sophie by saying 1-1, but I really do feel like this one will be a draw. On to the next one, which is Preston versus Norwich.
So for this one, if I was to predict this game a couple of weeks ago, I probably would have gone quite heavily in favour of Norwich. But with Preston, obviously they got the win against Coventry, which is pretty routine. They're unbeaten against us in 22 league games, I think I saw the other day, which is just painful. So to get the win is pretty routine, but I'm going to back it up with a draw. I think being at home, they're capable of getting a draw at the moment against Norwich. So I'm going to go down the middle again, and I'm going to say 1-1.
I remember when these two played each other towards the end of last season, and Preston were just outside the playoffs. Norwich were in 6th place, and Norwich did pinch that game 1-0 towards the end of the season, which felt like the game where they really got close to wrapping up their playoff place. Preston, let's be fair, they've been better recently. Their defensive record is quite good. I thought against Coventry they were solid, but at the same time I think Coventry were not at their best, as we haven't been for a long time now, so easy pickings for Preston as always. Norwich City, yeah, I thought they'd beat Stoke. Obviously they only got a 1-1 draw. I'm tempted to copy Sophie and go for another draw here, but I'm actually going to go for the away team. I think they might just edge this, and I'll go Preston 1, Norwich 2, which it's difficult to predict that because I have really been impressed with Preston's defensive record, but we do know that Norwich City can score goals, so I'm just edging them in this one. Next up, let's see what Sophie has to say for the game at Hillsborough between Sheffield Wednesday and Swansea.
So for this one, I'm leaning more towards the home side again, just because Swansea haven't really impressed me so far this season. I think last week I backed them to get a draw. They couldn't even do that. It was quite a strange performance, and a few of their players are underperforming and they don't seem to have their scoring boots on at all. So can I see them getting a goal? Possibly not. I think this could be a fairly easy Sheffield Wednesday win. So I'm going to go 2-0. I'm not going to go too heavy, but I think stats-wise I'm leaning more towards Sheffield Wednesday to be quite dominating in this game.
So then, Sophie's going for the 2-0 Sheffield Wednesday win. I think I'm tempted to go down the middle. Don't get me wrong, I've been impressed with Sheffield Wednesday recently. Obviously, yes, they lost to Burnley at the weekend, but a lot of teams are probably going to lose to Burnley this season. I just think Swansea might get something. If this is a cagey game, they might just get away with a draw. And like I say, I know Sheffield Wednesday have got the home advantage, but I'm going to give Swansea a point. I'm going to go 1-1 just to be different to Sophie on this one. Swansea, although I don't think they score lots of goals, they don't tend to concede many. So if they keep this low scoring, they might get out with something. I'm going to go for a draw here.
For the next two teams, I always find it so hard to predict both Stoke and Bristol City. I don't think I've got a single prediction right so far this season. I say it every week, you don't know which Stoke team are going to turn up. So being at home, could they get the win? Possibly, but I'm going for a safe bet and I'm going down the middle. I think it could be two fairly evenly matched teams going at it here. So it's either going to be a 0-0 or a 1-1. I'm going to go 1-1 on this one.
With Stoke City versus Bristol City, I think I've got to give them both credit for their results at the weekend. They both got results that I didn't predict. Stoke, they got a draw against Norwich, so fair play to them. But Bristol City, one of the surprise results of the weekend, going away to Middlesbrough and winning 2-0. Fair play to them, and it's a nice news story. We want to see more positivity around Bristol City now, and although I think Sophie might be right with going for a draw here, something is telling me Bristol City might just pinch another away win. I'm going to go Stoke 0, Bristol City 1. Imagine that, by the way. That would be 6 very impressive points on the road for Bristol City in the space of 4 days. I'm going to go for the Robins here.
Right, so in this relegation matchup between QPR versus my team, Coventry City, I'm going to pick a winner in this one, actually. I'm not going to sit on the fence for this prediction. I think QPR at home losing against Portsmouth to then lift Portsmouth off the bottom of the table was very, very poor. And overall it just wasn't a convincing performance at all. Coventry versus Preston, at times there was some good football, but overall we lost again. I do think Haji Wright's goal was wrongfully disallowed. I didn't see the ball touching his hand at all, but that's how it goes. We don't take enough of our chances, but to only register one shot on goal is not good enough. Saying that, I'd like to see, Mark Robins keeps chopping and changing the team, but I would like to see Bassett and Wright up top and them two giving it a go. I think they could work well together. So hopefully they will start. And do you know what? Might seem daft, but I'm going Cov 2-1, and this is going to be the turning point in our season. Don't come back to this video when we lose. Just let me sit there and be depressed, but who knows? I'm backing us to win this one.
I won't lie, I am dreading this game. QPR versus Coventry. It feels like a massive game already. Personally, do I think QPR and Coventry are going to get relegated this season? I don't think so. Over 46 games, I think these two should rise up the table. But if they don't start picking up results, they're going to stay where they are. QPR are bottom. They've picked up the fewest points this season, of course. But Coventry are in dreadful form. And for me, I come into this game with no real confidence at all, other than the fact that because QPR are bottom, we might get something. But we don't even have the home advantage. And let's not forget, Coventry have not won an away game this season. Am I right in saying Coventry's first away win last season was at QPR? But that was when they had Ainsworth. But ironically, they look worse now without Ainsworth. Obviously, Cifuentes needs to turn things around. Do you know what? I'm going to go for a 0-0 draw. An unhelpful draw. Both teams need to win this. Don't get me wrong, I want Coventry to win this, but I'm also terrified of losing this. There's a scenario where Coventry could be bottom at the end of midweek, which would just be really, really poor. So I'm going to go for a 0-0. Coventry don't really look like scoring lots of goals, in my opinion. Do join us on the channel on Tuesday, though, for the live stream. It should be a right laugh.
For the next one, I like both these teams. I think so far they're having pretty good seasons. I know in recent weeks West Brom have dropped off it a little bit, and Blackburn aren't quite as scintillating as they were opening few games, but yeah, both teams play very nice football at times. So I'm going to go down the middle again. I'm going to say 1-1. I know West Brom have been a little bit draw heavy in the last couple of games, and I think this one could be a draw again, which isn't a bad result against a good Blackburn side.
I'm very tempted to go for the same prediction as Sophie here, but I'm going to go for Blackburn. I've been backing West Brom to win quite a lot, and they've been letting me down. So I'm going to go for Blackburn here. I'm going to go 2-1 to Rovers. Let's not forget, that home record is something else, and it really could carry them towards a playoff finish this season. I mean, it's a really good matchup. Two teams that have been pace setters, 5th versus 6th. But I'm just going to back Blackburn Rovers here. West Brom will be kicking themselves after that late goal they conceded against Oxford.
Right, in this one, we've got Hull that were in amazing form before the Sunderland game where they've just lost 1-0. And then you've got Burnley, who are looking good. And I did criticise them recently about their scoring, and I didn't credit their defence enough. They've conceded the least goals in the whole of the Championship, and they've just won 2-0. So they do play some good football, and they have been taking some of their chances. So do you know what? I'm going to credit them for that, and I'm going to say they're going to win 2-0 again.
In my opinion, I do think Hull City are going to have to do something spectacular to get anything against Burnley, because Burnley are moving along nicely now. And let's be honest, this is two very difficult games for Hull. They've had Sunderland and now they've got Burnley. Was there an element that they were a bit unlucky against Sunderland? Maybe. I don't think I'm going to go 2-0. I'm going to go 1-0 Burnley. I think Hull City are not a bad team. I think they can make this close, but if Burnley are going to be a top 2 team, as we keep saying, they've got to grind out the 3 points, and I think they will. Share your thoughts for Hull City versus Burnley. Next up, let's go to Kenilworth Road for Luton versus Sunderland.
So these two teams are coming into this on the back of good results. I mean, that Luton result against Watford, did not see that coming. I think I even backed them to lose. But when it comes to derbies, you just don't know which teams are going to turn up for it. And also the manager was going to be bang up for it too. So especially after that tweet that Watford admin put out, I think the players were still checking out the sites during the 90 minutes. But yeah, it was a very, very good result for Luton. So I'll give them credit for that. But is it just going to be one good result, or are they going to now turn the corner in the season? I don't know. I think this is going to be a very, very tough game against Sunderland, who are rightfully top of the table. And I think because of that, I'm going to have to lean towards them. So for this one, I'm saying Sunderland 2-1, which would be a great result again for the Black Cats.
This matchup, of course, was the playoff semi-final in the Championship 2 years ago. Sunderland did beat Luton at the Stadium of Light. I remember Amad Diallo scored a really good goal. They won 2-1, but then Luton did beat Sunderland 2-0 in the second leg, of course, and they were just much more physical and just seemed to want it a bit more. And then obviously Luton did go on to get promoted. They've come back down now, and now we're looking at Sunderland possibly being promoted this season. They're top of the table again after that win against Hull City, and it's really interestingly poised here. Sunderland have been the better team this season, but that win against Watford will surely have given Luton a massive boost and a massive confidence boost at the same time. Do you know what? Let's be different to Sophie. I'm going to go 1-0 to the home team. I'm going to back Luton here. I just think if this game is anything like that playoff semi-final second leg, I know it was 2 years ago now, then Luton do just have more physicality. I really like Sunderland's skill and flair, and they've got plenty of youngsters that are really good, but maybe in this matchup Luton could just be too physical. I'm going to go for the home team here. Share your thoughts.
Right, so for this one, I would be struggling to predict it before Plymouth played Cardiff, and I don't know what happened there, but it seems that whenever Plymouth lose games, they just seem to really chuck the game, and to lose 5-0 at Cardiff, yeah, it wasn't great at all. But can they get something from this game? Maybe. I can't ignore the last result though, and I'm going to edge Millwall to win this one 1-0.
I think I'm going to predict the same as Sophie in this one. We both love to predict a home Millwall 1-0 win, and I just think after Plymouth's last result, I don't really have any confidence for them on the road in this one. Don't get me wrong, next time Plymouth are at home, they're probably going to win. I think that could be the case because they seem to be so much better at home park. But that performance at Cardiff wasn't good enough, and I do feel sorry for the 3,000 or so Plymouth fans that made the journey to watch that rubbish. Obviously, Sissoko will be suspended for this. It could be more than 1-0, but Millwall only managed to draw at home to Derby last time, so I'll just go 1-0 and try and keep this respectful.
Right, for the last game, both these teams come into this on the back of a loss, so both will be looking to turn it around. Judging by who's done better so far this season, it's got to be Sheffield United. They haven't conceded many goals. They have got quality going forwards, albeit maybe Kiefer Moore. I don't think him and Callum O'Hare are linking up very well at all. It was weird that Wilder changed their formation before playing Leeds when they've been doing so well. They're actually unbeaten, to then change formation and then lose like that. I think the manager, the book's got to stop with him on that one. So I think he's going to be wanting a reaction. I reckon he'll probably go back to the same formation that was working before the Leeds game. And do you know what? I'm going to back them to get back to winning ways against Middlesbrough. I'm going to say 1-0 to the Blades. I think they're just going to edge it for me. Peace out.
And yes, this one should be interesting. Middlesbrough versus Sheffield United. They both come into this on the back of 2-0 defeats. Obviously, Sheffield United's assignment looked very tricky going away to Leeds United. I think they might respond quite well here. There was some question marks over how Chris Wilder set up against Leeds United. I think if they go for this, or not completely go all guns blazing, but play the same game plan they have been doing in previous games, they should find a way to get this over the line. Middlesbrough, while I wouldn't be surprised if they did turn up and win this, they're just so inconsistent that they're really difficult to predict. So I'm going to go Middlesbrough 1, Sheffield United 2. I just think the Blades will get back on track. And yeah, they need to, because they dropped down the table a couple of places over the weekend. So Middlesbrough 1, Sheffield United 2. We are both back in the Blades to win. So then, guys, that wraps up our predictions for the midweek championship games. Like I say, apologies that we couldn't be together for this one. Sophie is currently away for the day. We will be back together later in the week. And like I say, please support us. Let's say a massive thank you to Sophie for sending in her championship predictions via a video. Like I say, look out for more content, Champions League, Championship and League One, all midweek predictions over the next 24 hours. It's going to be crazy. Yeah, hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed, make sure you've shared your championship predictions down in the comments, copy and paste from the description, and I will see you later in the week. Take care, peace out.